today I'm going to be filling out my 2026 March Madness bracket for men's basketball. And to start off in the East region, I'm going to have the number 1 overall seed Duke beating Siena. And then Ohio State and TCU, this should be a really good game. I'm going to take Ohio State. Bruce Thornton is a really good point guard. I think they can win that one. And then I'm going to take St. John's over Northern Iowa and Kansas over Cal Baptist. And then Louisville, South Florida. I think Louisville will win this one in a close game. I think their offense is better. And then Michigan State should easily win over North Dakota State. And then with my first upset, I'm going to pick UCF to beat UCLA. They have some really good wins this season over quality opponents, and their offense is pretty good. Next, I'm going to have UConn beating Furman, and Florida winning against either Prairie View or Lehigh. And then I'm going to take Iowa and Bennett Sturts over Dylan Hunter and Clemson. And then Vanderbilt should beat McNeese. Troy, Nebraska, I could definitely see an upset happening, but I'm going to take Nebraska to win. And then VCU, North Carolina. I'm going to take VCU in this game. They've been pretty consistent this season. They make their free throws. And with Caleb Wilson being out for North Carolina, I think VCU can pull off the upset. And then I have Illinois beating Pennsylvania. And I think St. Mary's will beat Texas A&M in a close game. I think their defense is better, and that will be why they end up winning. And then the 2 seed Houston over Idaho. Then in the West region, I have the 1 seed Arizona beating LIU, and then Utah State, the 9 seed, beating Villanova. And then I think Wisconsin will beat High Point. Their offense is really good. And then Arkansas, I'm going to take them over Hawaii, just coming off of the SEC championship win. And then I'm going to take BYU in a close game over either Texas or NC State. And then this is my biggest upset of the bracket. I'm going to take Kennesaw State over Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is upset prone this year. Then I have the 10 seed Missouri beating Miami and Purdue over Queens. And then in the Midwest, I have Michigan winning in the first round. And then I think Georgia will beat St. Louis. That should be a really high-scoring game. And then I think Texas Tech, even with JT Toppin injured, handles Akron. And then Alabama over Hofstra. And I think SMU will end up beating Tennessee in the first round after they win in the first 4 over Miami, Ohio. And then Virginia over Wright State. And I think Santa Clara, the 10 seed, will beat Kentucky in the first round. They struggle to defend the 3, and Santa Clara is a good 3-point shooting team. And then I have Iowa State easily winning against Tennessee State. To start the second round, I have Duke over Ohio State. I think that'll be a good game still. And then I think St. John's and their defense will beat Kansas. And then Louisville and Michigan State. I think Michigan State will win this game. Even though I'm a Louisville fan, I would like them to win. But I think the defense of Michigan State is better. And then I have UConn beating UCF and Florida over Iowa. And then Vanderbilt, Nebraska. This is an interesting matchup. I'm going to take Vanderbilt. They have some solid wins in the SEC this year. And then Illinois and their offense over VCU. And then I think Houston will beat St. Mary's. That should be a good defensive matchup. And then in the West region, I have the 1 seed Arizona winning. I think they got a good draw. And then I have Arkansas in a close game over Wisconsin. That'll be a really good matchup. Then I will take A.J. DeBansta and BYU to beat Kennesaw State. And then I have Purdue over Missouri with Braden Smith. And then in the Midwest, I have the 1 seed Michigan moving on. And Alabama, Texas Tech. This should be a really good game. I'm going to take Alabama. I think they have more weapons. And then I think Virginia beats SMU. and Iowa State beats Santa Clara. Now for the Sweet 16, I have Duke over St. John's. That should be a close game. And then Michigan State and UConn. I think UConn is a little overrated this year, and they've been inconsistent down the stretch. So I'm going to take Michigan State to win that one. And then I think Florida will get their revenge on Vanderbilt. And Illinois-Houston, this should be a good game. I think Houston can pull off the win. And then the West region, I think Arizona will beat Arkansas. If Arkansas didn't have to play Arizona, I might have them in the Final Four. But I think Arizona, with their balance on offense and defense, will win that game. And then Purdue over BYU. And I'm going to take Michigan over Alabama. And I think Iowa State, with their three-point shooting, will beat Virginia. So this sets up a Duke-Michigan State Elite Eight matchup. I am actually going to take Tom Izzo and Michigan State to win. I think they have the offense and defense to be able to do it. And then I'm going to take Florida over Houston and Arizona over Purdue with their inside play. And then I think Iowa State can beat Michigan with their shooting and defense. So this sets up a Final Four with Michigan State, Florida, Arizona, and Iowa State. I'm going to take Michigan State to beat Florida in the Final Four to give them a spot in the championship. And then I'm going to take Arizona in a rematch of the Big 12 championship. I think Arizona's defense is a little better and they can slow down Iowa State. So that sets up a Michigan State and Arizona national championship. And I think Arizona ends the drought of West Coast teams winning the championship, and they beat Michigan State. How many total points? I'm going to say 156. So not super high scoring, but also not a low scoring game. So that is my official March Madness bracket for this year, with Arizona winning the championship. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe.